I frequently have conversations with people who are under the impression that there needs to be a government. There needs to be a third party who gets between individuals' interactions and guides them and acts as a guardrail and sets the rules up and acts as the mediator and provides protection and provides guidance or forceful rule or whatever we want to call it, makes the decisions about how things ought to be for the next 100 years or whatever. And this is what we're going to do to make that happen. And one of the frequent arguments is that, well, without government, there wouldn't be as many. Like, look at the road system. We'll just stay on roads for a minute. Look at all the beautiful roads in the United States. And there are some that aren't traveled that much. And without government, those roads, there would be potholes. Travel to another country, live a little. Look at some of the roads where there isn't a good, strong government that taxes heavily. And yes, I completely agree that a government who steals more money and has an interest in roads will probably have better roads. I actually think that some municipalities, maybe West Palm Beach, maybe Beverly Hills, maybe Jackson Hole, Aspen, Sun Valley, Hamptons, maybe some places like that. You could, if you would just be willing to tax 95%, not only of income, but of net worth, you could perhaps have golden sidewalks. Imagine the beauty of golden sidewalks. I mean, that would be fabulous. I mean, the sun shines off of them and you feel rich. You walk along, you put your hand on these golden rails, and it would be really nifty. And I think that the roads right now, I can go all kinds of crazy places and that not many people travel these roads. And I'm amazed, I'll go half an hour and not see another car. Well, it probably doesn't make economic sense. And so to have a road there, and so I'm thinking, this is really nifty that there's a road here. This is neat. I'm glad that there is. Just like I would be glad if there were golden sidewalks and handrails. That would be neat. It'd be nifty. But this is where we come back to what is right and what is wrong. And should you steal money from people in order to have roads that not many people travel on and golden sidewalks? And is the charge correct? If there wasn't government, you wouldn't have as many great roads. I think that could be true. I don't know. I haven't lived in uh, that kind of world. But if suddenly, or not suddenly, but over the course of the next few years, efforts made by people like me to kind of spread the word and say, hey, let's all check out this idea called voluntarism. Let's say that it really catches on. And now 20 or 30% of the population says, hey, that's probably the way to go. We don't really need government. And then governments just kind of rot and wither and go away. I don't know what the road situation would be. I don't know if some neighborhoods would have golden sidewalks. I don't know. But that's not how I would make a decision about what to do in life. My extreme desire for roads that aren't traveled much, but make it handy for me if I'm out on a ATV walkabout in the spring or the fall and I want to go out into the boondocks, really get out there. Well, it's really nifty that I can take a highway without big potholes in it, and it takes me right up there. And maybe an hour and a half later, I see a truck, an oil field truck drive by. That's nifty. That's really neat. But that's not how I should make my decisions, is it? Is it how you would make your decisions? That you really think a thing is nifty and you are projecting that the only way to have that nifty thing is to get it by taking from others through income tax, through a worse tax than that, inflation. Maybe it's not officially a tax, but another way of stealing money from people is inflation. Just having the Federal Reserve print a bunch of money or get a new central bank digital currency and have that digital currency just print it. These are not good things to do. That's not doing the right thing right now. Isn't that what we should be doing? There's a charge that, okay, if your wish came true and there were no governments, there'd be chaos. There'd be no roads, or there wouldn't be as many good roads. And there wouldn't be any golden sidewalks. And things would just fall apart and everything would be miserable. Everything would be horrible. Well, those are assumptions. Those are predictions that aren't really based on thoughtful, open minded research. It's kind of like when I have that idea and I really believe something and I'm trying to persuade someone and I think of an example, it's not like I'm honestly looking into it. No, I'm just looking for ways to prove something to them. I have very rarely spoken with anyone about voluntarism when their immediate response wasn't, well, yeah, but what if this or that? And it is almost always, or maybe always, not in a, hey, I'm really curious about this. Wouldn't it be neat if there was a good solution? Will you toss out some ideas and then I'll toss some ideas out? Maybe together we can come up with a solution. And if we can come up with a solution for how there would still be roads so that I can go ATVing in the fall and get way out in the boondocks without having to travel on rough roads, if we can come up with that solution, then I'm all for it. But that's not what happens frequently. What happens frequently is a person argues with bad will, or they're just trying to preach to me. They're trying to get me to stumble and fall. That isn't the way to explore other ideas. You should certainly test them. You should certainly say, yeah, what about this? Have you guys thought there could be a solution for that? Have you thought of any? You should examine it with an open mind and with a toughness. Hey, I've got to have some good answers here. And I don't have all the perfect answers. I am not a voluntarist because I think that tomorrow, if everyone who worked for the government, from school teachers to senators to national parks to soldiers, if everybody suddenly quit doing that and got a wonderful free market job, if that happened and nobody replaced the current government, obviously I think that would be wonderful, but I am not claiming it would be utopia. Oh my gosh, I think I'm just predicting. I don't have any good evidence. I think there'd be some really tough times. I think that there are a lot of spoiled people who are used to driving on roads without having to directly pay the road builder for them or the person who owns them and manages them, not having to go and pay that person directly, knowing that this dollar bill is going to that gal who owns the road business. It's just kind of, oh no, this some group takes a third of what I earn and then they give me a bunch of stuff. And some of the stuff I like and some of it I don't, but that's just how it is. Yeah, I agree that that's how it currently is. And I think that there could be a better way. I don't think that just because I don't have all the answers for a better way, I don't think that's a good argument to say, yep, let's not examine that anymore. I found one little bump and therefore I'm going to stop. My perspective is the governments, all the governments, and I'm not picking on the United States government or the Canadian government or the any government. I'm picking on the concept, the idea, the organizational type. There are so many hundreds of thousands of problems. But it's interesting that my conversation partners don't say, "Oh, I guess I was being a utopian. There's one little problem with government, therefore we should throw out the idea of government." And yet that standard seems to be used for the idea of anarcho-capitalism. Oh, how would you solve this one issue? If you can't solve that, then yep, it won't work. Anarchy won't work. And I would say that that's not really a fair comparison. I think if we have a fair mind and we have some goodwill toward our fellow thinkers and conversationalists, and we sit there and we have a beverage and we really open up and we're curious. And we go, well, what if? It's easy to go back to our old ideas. Let's just open up for a few hours and think about it. Sleep on it. Just take a few days. Think about it. Read Most Dangerous Superstition. Think about it. Then read it again in 6 months or a year. Think about it. Read Everyday Anarchy. Read Anatomy of the State. read some of these books and just contemplate it. I don't know. Maybe it worked. Maybe it wouldn't. Give yourself a few years to really hone in on it. I think it could be an exciting journey. And again, we're not changing anything quickly. Like, as optimistic as I am, I don't think that tomorrow we're going to have a stateless, wonderful, peaceful society where everybody's happy and jolly and there are rainbows. And no, I don't think the human condition will ever be that perfect or that wonderful. But I think it should and could be much better than it currently is. I could be wrong. I don't think it'd be utopia. Isn't it interesting and worth exploring, though?
We hope this helps. If you feel the vibe, we invite you to join our tribe. Please subscribe.